Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have an interesting combination here today for your viewing pleasure. This is a 5th gen Camaro. I believe it's a 2015, and it's actually a 1LE car, which I applaud. This guy cut up. I think it's fantastic that he just went all in on this. So his name is Tom. And it has the stock TR6060 trans, but he replaced the engine with a Texas Speed off-shelf 427 long block with, I think, it has aftermarket heads. I think they were PRCs. I think I looked at the front where it says the logo. And it has a partial Hellion performance kit on it. He had to modify some of it. He changed some things, obviously. So it's like parts of a Hellion kit, and I think they were 67, 62s or 66, 62 precision turbos. And he pulled out a lot of stuff, like most of the interior and a whole bunch of things, and he custom wired it to a Terminator X Max. So he's using the stock LS3 intake and throttle body, a Terminator X Max. I think he has FIC 1600s or 1650s, he said. I'm not exactly sure on that, but roughly that. E85 content sensor. He's running a 4-port boost controller. And I believe that's it. He had two 450s in the tank. And the rest of everything is stock. He's like, I know I'm probably going to shatter my trans. I know I'm probably going to shatter the diff as soon as this thing hooks up. And so what I did was, I did like a quick test roll in here. I hate when it does this. Size is all screwed up. I'm sorry, ladies, gents. So I did a little roll in here and wanted to make sure everything was happy and how my timing was working on pump gas with the pulling it out of base and watching fuel pressure and how it's hitting a safe target air fuel and all of the above. So you can see right away here, rolling into 2 pounds, it was adding almost 30% already. And I believe that made like, it might be this one, 370, 134. This is exactly the first roll in. I just barely rolled into the pedal. You can see half throttle. I hit 2 pounds and I backed out to just go over my data log and make sure everything was happy. So then, what did I come up with? Can I drop this right on top here? No. Can I, here's what we'll do. So this was the second hit. Part throttle, 6,000-ish RPM. It made 11 pounds on 14 degrees. It made 653. I just rolled into it enough just to see what it would do. And then this one's funny. I think this is the first pump gas full hit on a conservative tune-up, and it made 850 wheel. So this was hit number 3 at 2 o'clock. Hit number 3, yep. Hit number 3 at 2 o'clock. Mint. So that's like the first wide open hit with conservative ignition, but I was like, it's making so much. And what we were running into was, I think you can see it. It looked like it was creeping to me, so it was making me nervous because this is like a first plateau, and then up here it looks like it's just growing and growing. So I lifted, and what I did was padded a bunch of fuel in, so it's pulling 20% now, which is, I would rather have it yanking fuel than throwing in 20-30%. So that's why I do that. And then, so it's hitting 15 pounds now. So I'm like, well, the longer I swing it, the more RPM and more load I give it, the more boost I'm getting. So I'm starting to be like, you know, is this a creep issue? And then 10% flex fuel, you can see that's pump gas, 93 octane. And then, so I was like, well, bud, we for sure have a creep issue. So what I'd like to do is jump straight into some ethanol tuning so we don't really have to worry about it as much. And then get your boost controller sorted out. And then you can, when we're done, decide if you want to do cut your whole hot side up and do wastegates and a bunch of things you're probably going to need to do, because this thing was so... Imagine how wild this is that just 850 is your minimum. Like, I could pull a bunch of timing out of it, but like 850 wheel is this guy's minimum power. So I'm like, man, it'd be cool if you could put like a 2 or 4 pound wastegate spring in and be able to hit 2 to 4 pounds and then use the boost controller to ramp in 20 something, because it would be much more manageable. We could do boost by mile an hour. We could do a lot of things. We could implement some things so it's not making 850 in first gear while you're trying to do this. And then what's awesome is this is the first hit on ethanol in the same tune-up, and it actually fell 2 pounds. It went from 15 to 13 pounds. What's funny here is closed loop comp is already tight enough to be 0, 11.7, 11.8. So 13 pounds, 20 degrees made 940. So that's not even an apples to apples comparison. The ethanol picked up over 100 wheel because it dropped 2 pounds of boost here and made 100 extra horsepower to the tire. So then, yeah, I moved ignition around a bunch of times, still ended up with 940. One of the times I hit boost cut, and then here we are at 1020 wheel. We had to do some physical messing around with his 4-port to get it all sorted. But then you can see here we got 15 pounds, 18 degrees, and that made 1020 to the tire. And then we just tried to get a little bit more boost out of the 4-port. Just wanted to see how it would do. And it was actually starting to level off, which we assume is from back pressure from almost 430 cubic inches into what I think are pretty small 62 turbines. So we padded it a little bit. You can see it's tapering even more on the boost here, is really just tapering off on 17 pounds, 17 degrees. It made 1100 rear wheel. Really good, obviously. And it spun bad on this first hit. So then I waited a little bit and rolled into it again, and you can see, yeah, it's definitely coming up, and the boost controller is working good, but it's starting to taper. So I said to him, like, maybe mid-20s might be best amount of power for this combo, but it was making 45 horsepower per pound from 13 to 20 here. So 20 pounds, 11.8 air fuel, 15.16 degrees on 48% flex made 1205 rear wheel. Yes. Really very good. 1107 on that one. 10, 20, 1107, and 1205. Yeah. This is when we were messing with the boost controller. We were doing a lot of back and forth here. 900, 939, boost cut, a bunch of things. Yeah, so this is E85 on wastegate, 13 pounds, made 940. So 4.9. These are the last ones you want to look at, in my opinion. Why do I keep missing it? I apologize. Yeah, so this is where we were getting out of it. It'll be nice once the housings and everything are appropriately set up, but yeah. 940, 1020, 1107. 1058 is a little extra one in there for you guys, and then 1205. So yeah, it looks like this combo wants to keep going a little bit. I forget what this fall off, I think it was spinning. Once it got into the higher RPM, I think it was blurring the tires. So he's going to put a little bit better tire on it, and he has a bunch of homework with the wastegates, I believe. I think he just needs bigger wastegates. Honestly, the ones that are on it are really small, and it's definitely struggling to get exhaust gas out. So I said to him, like, you could just drive it as is. You know, you don't have to listen to anything I say, but I would get at least 44s on each turbo and then move from there and try to get your boost lower, and then we can set up a nice curve. And I told him he should do some sort of wheel speed sensor. I can't remember if the TR6060 has a vehicle speed sensor. You could wire that, or what he could do is use one of these guys. So a two wire VR sensor from like an ABS ring goes into this, and then it creates a Hall effect output. So a 2-wire sensor in, 3-wire sensor out. You would need this to work with a Terminator. So you could do this for vehicle speed. These are super cheap. I think they're under $10. I don't want to say $2, but they're pretty cheap. So yeah, I said a vehicle speed input and then set up boost by vehicle speed would be really nice, or boost by gear if you can do some sort of gear indicator on that trans. I'm not sure. And then I'm like, these turbos might go 1300. They might be falling off pretty bad, but man, they might peak out at another 100 rear wheel would be pretty cool. So I told him to get the 4-bar map sensor, do wastegates, and whatever else. But fuel pressure seems okay. It seems like it's running out. It's just here. Let me show you. So it comes up. We got fuel pressure here. Yeah. It comes up, but it's not necessarily 1-to-1. So we're at 0 right about here. What do we got? 67 pounds of fuel pressure. So if we add 20, it should be 87. It's only at 74, so it's not making the 1-to-1. So sometimes that's just normal, but but I think it's falling off a tiny bit. So maybe we can squeak another 100 out of it, but he probably won't be able to use it. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.